Welcome to the Ride This Out podcast, where we talk about how to improve your mental health and strengthen your connection to nature and your community, all through one simple solution: the bicycle. My name is Zach Golding, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and mental health therapist. I'll be your host as we discuss the power of pedaling. All right, welcome into this week's session. I talked with Jill Colby of Cycle Sanpete. Jill is from Sanpete County. It's a small rural area in central Utah. And she started the organization Cycle Sanpete, and I thought it would be fun to get her perspective on starting a bicycle organization in an area with a low population. A lot of the people that I talk with, a lot of the things that you see out there for bicycle advocacy and safer streets, have to do with big cities and a lot of population. So it was neat to get her perspective and what she is doing to promote more bicycle riding and the planning and implementation of a bike path that I'm super excited about. You'll hear her talking more about it. And what I really enjoyed about this conversation is how she faced some adversity, going up against some different ideas, but how she didn't let that deter her, and in fact, how it motivated her to do more and get the support of the community. And she talks about the strength of the community of bicycle riding and what that does for your mental health. So overall, great conversation. And, stick around to the end because she talks a little bit about how we can learn from the wonderful show Gilmore Girls. So make sure you listen all the way to the end to hear that. So great stuff. Thanks again, Jill. And I know you guys will get a lot from this conversation and enjoy. All right, Jill, thanks again for joining me on the podcast today. If you could just introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, just kind of all those good things. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And first, I wanted to say, Zach, thank you so much for having me on. I think that your podcast is so valuable and important to inspire people to get out on their bikes and also bring the community together. So thank you. And I also wanted to say your shirt, dealing with inflation and having a guy on a bike, is a great shirt. So
I'm
I love that.
Well, thank
Um,
you. Thanks, Jill.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to your question about how I got into bike riding, I got married about 12 years ago, and my husband bought me my first mountain bike, and I was so excited. So we have at the time we were living in Sanpete County, and there's lots of hills and dirt trails, and it's easy to ride out around town. And I was a little overzealous. This was my first time on a mountain bike, and I'm just cruising, and I see this really huge steep hill, and I'm like, I'm gonna fly down this like it's nobody's business. So I'm pedaling and I'm flying down this hill, and I fly over my handlebars and go like face first into a pile of rocks and ended up with stitches. And
Oh, no.
so to anybody just getting started, don't pedal as hard as you can down a really steep rocky hill. But that didn't deter me. Like the few minutes on there, I was like, this is glory. So I got back on my bike not much longer. We actually went to Moab, Utah for our honeymoon. And I grew up all over the United States, and this was my first time to Moab. Um, and it was incredible. It was breathtaking. I'd never seen country like Moab before. And I was telling my husband, like, I can't believe you grew up around this. Like, it is just, Utah is so beautiful. We took our mountain bikes down there and we hit the trails, and we spent a week exploring and biking. And It was very freeing. I've never like had so much fun in my life being on a bike as an adult, and like just the sound of tires crunching over the dirt and the open spaces and the fresh air. It was really amazing.
Yeah, Moab is a magical place. It's seriously one of my favorite places on earth. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, Moab is amazing, and um, we later, a few years later, after being married, with our first mistake was moving to Utah County. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
Hey, I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing when I moved here too. It's okay. It's all right.
we were so used to, a population of 1,000 people, and all of a sudden we're like overwhelmed with traffic and cars, and we were living in Utah County, and we were trying to save up for school and a home and just figure life out. So we decided um, uh, that we would retire early, and so we got out of our apartments and we moved to Deer Creek State Park. But so up Provo Canyon, between Heber City and Sundance, and they told us that we could volunteer there in exchange for a free spot. So that's what we did. We were camp hosts for a few years, and we worked at Sundance Mountain Resort. So we did exactly what we set out to do. We saved up money for school. We saved up money for a home. Um, and at Sundance, they have mountain biking trails during the summer, so you can get up on the lift and ride down. And my husband's more of the adrenaline junkie, so he was super into that. But we bought a home in Pleasant Grove, which I suppose was our second mistake. But no, we appreciated our friends and the community up there. But I'll tell you this story living at Deer Creek. So um, because you're up in nature, like it is beautiful. Have you been to Deer Creek State Park?
Absolutely. Yeah, we go there
Yeah.
regularly. It's just down the road from us. We love it up there.
Okay. Yeah, we love it. It's so beautiful. And at certain times of the year, in a certain spot at Deer Creek, you can kind of see down Provo Canyon. And there were some days out of the year where we could see like this big brown smog of pollution making its way up the canyon,
Yep.
and it never quite reached us, but it was almost apocalyptic to see that much pollution coming through the canyon. But people, they always say, I'm not sure where the idea came from, but they always say, like, if we just got rid of cows and everybody was vegan, we ate less meat, we'd get rid of all of our air pollution. But cows only contribute to 2% of global emissions. So if we got rid of cows and everybody was vegan, it wouldn't do anything for air pollution. The number one air polluter is cars in development. Um, so, anyways, we moved to Pleasant Grove, and we had a hard time living there as well. Where we lived specifically, um, we couldn't come out of our home without being in a car. The roads that we lived on should have been quiet residential streets, but it was very, very busy, and there were no sidewalks, there were no bike paths. So we'd have to get in the car and drive somewhere to where we could ride a bike or go for a walk. So we kind of lost touch with our roots and who we were, and we stopped walking and biking and getting out, and we were busy working. And yeah, we just for a long time were out of the rhythm of biking. So we decided that we would rent out our home, and we were gonna get back in our RV and put the bikes on the truck, and we were gonna travel the world and see what there was to see. Um, so this was at the end of 2019. So we spent 6 months biking in Arizona and traveling, and we had a work from home business that was working for us to be able to do this. Um, but then 2020 came, and we decided that we'd move back to Sanpete to be closer to family. And that was a good change for us. It was good to be back home. It was good to be rural. We could walk and go bike. For the most part, it was pretty safe. Um, and up until this point, typically I only saw a bike as, for mountain biking. And during the 2020, we were trying to think of ways to still get out and be healthy without losing our minds. So my husband, he really loves to run. And so we were like, let's just go running together, and that can be our quality time. But he's a lot faster than I am, so it would always be the source of marital fight. So he'd run and I'd be running and he'd be like, "You're going too slow." I'm like, "You're going too fast." So it was not a good mix. So he got me a road bike and he's like, "I'm gonna run, you bike next to me." And I felt like I was a child again. I don't know. I was like, even as an adult, like it was just so amazing to be out back on a bike and riding around through town. We'd go out around a lake and Sanpete, there's a lot of dirt roads, so you could ride your bike by farms. And I like to say the riding your bike not only clears the mind, but the entire soul. It just, in the morning I would check my email, get some work done, and then we'd go for a bike ride and we'd come back and I'd be able to tackle problems and work on solutions so much easier than if I had just woken up and dived right into work that day. Um,
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, you're down in Sanpete
yeah.
now, and you're riding alongside your husband as he's
Mhm.
running. And then, at what point did you guys like start up? You started Cycle Sanpete, right? The organization
Yeah.
down there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So even though that we live rural, there's a lot that needs to be done as far as improvement goes for walking and biking. Um, and because I've lived all over the states and we lived in Utah County, um, Sanpete County, we haven't made the mistakes that big cities have made yet. I feel like we're at this delicate turning point where we can prioritize human-centric design, or we can do the opposite and be confined and constricted to moving only around by vehicles. Um, so it was actually what really started me on this journey, though, was um, the birth of my daughter. So right before she was born, my husband, he bought me a pedal assist e-bike and a little bike trailer for her. And so a while after she was born, I'd take her around, we'd go biking, and I was like, this is like comfortable for me, but I would not never be okay with her like out by herself. And like, even though I'm towing her, like I was losing my sense of comfort. There was where we were living, people, I would clock them going 50 miles an hour in front of my house, and there's this sharp turn.
Wow.
Um, and, I know people should remember to drive slowly, but it's also the responsibility of the city. People drive as fast as the road feels. We're all guilty of it. So it is a big responsibility of the city to make our streets safe for families. So I called the city thinking I'd have my way easy peasy. I was like, we just need a speed bump or a stop sign. And I called and talked to the city. And they're like, yeah, in more or less words, yeah, no, we don't do stuff like that. And I was like, wait, what? You don't prioritize the safety of children and families? And so it just kind of blew my mind away. And I was telling my sister about it, and she gave me this book called Happy City by Charles Montgomery. And it was very, very eye-opening as far as how cities can support the safety and happiness of families, or and bring people to health and happiness, or they can do the exact opposite. So I like to say that it kind of started a countywide rebellion. We started connecting with local nonprofits like Bike Walk Provo and Bike Utah, various community organizations. Mike West reached out. So we found an incredible amount of support for her helping Sanpete County become more livable, more walkable, bikeable. Um, and so we, um, throughout all of this, because there was so much support and interest, we decided to become a nonprofit. And I try anything that we are hoping to achieve with our city. We want to do more than just complain. We want to bring solutions to the city. So we helped our community write a grant through DOT. I co-wrote it with Justin Atkinson. He's a former Mount Pleasant councilman. So through this grant, we were awarded $750,000. The mayor of Spring City is managing it. He's phenomenal. But this grant is for a feasibility study to map out exactly where a bike path could go from Fairview down to Gunnison. So that's about 47 miles of high safety, high comfort bike path that we're hoping to achieve in the next year or so.
Yes, I have the biggest smile on my face right now, Jill. Like I'm telling you, that country down there is beautiful, and then to
It
have
is.
a dedicated bike path that you can ride right alongside the highway down there. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for that.
Yeah, we're really excited too. And I just feel like sometimes I'm delusional or like that this could actually happen. But we're on such a good path, such a good trajectory. And all of our mayors and city council, they've been thrilled for the project and supportive. So we're lucky that it's almost been too easy so far. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll hit some road bumps or some
yes,
snags that will come
yes,
up.
yeah, yep, I'm sure. Um, But yeah, I think it would be amazing. Like Sanpete is gorgeous and it would be great for recreation, but it would also be really amazing to connect people to daily destinations. Like Sanpete is known for traditional development. So I just think like picture riding your bike like on between historic buildings and little businesses. You can stop and get something to eat, or you could go to, there's just tons of little local businesses and shops, candy stores and ice cream shops that are alongside US 89 it would be so beneficial for our local community and businesses to have as well,
Yeah,
in
and
addition to tourism. Yeah.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, just connect all those small towns together, and I've always said this with e-bikes and everything, it just makes cycling so much more accessible to the elderly and the young, and so able
Yeah.
to use that path more traditionally, because I've talked with other people on this podcast and have interviewed them, and they have specific groups where they'll it's kind of a destination, right? They have their e-bikes and they'll travel to a place just to ride the trails. And so what that could do for your economy and just the tourism is phenomenal. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, we're really excited for it, and we're so grateful to our governor that has put funding into these projects, and we're so grateful for UDOT that's managing and supportive of these type of projects. And I hope, I kind of see this project as the start to many projects. Like we'd love to start a bike share program at the college and incorporate more bike paths to help them get to key destinations around town. And yeah, so we've got lots of things we're excited for in 2024. Um, to help people get excited about the bike paths, we've done several community rides last year. I think that we just were about to release our impact report, but we inspired over 200 bike rides through incentives and community rides. Um, One thing that I would like to highlight is we did have a generous sponsor. His name was Keith Casperson with the Majesty Real Estate Group, but he donated, and through this incentive program, all of that money goes to a local ice cream store. So all people have to do is ride their bikes to this local ice cream store, and they're eligible for a free single scoop ice cream. So that was in part a contributor to all of the inspired bike rides. But we love the idea of encouraging people to get out and bike, but also supporting our local restaurant industry as well. Um, and I think that's helpful for people to understand, like a bike path and walking path that will do more for your business than a parking lot ever will. Like people can come in crowds to your, or if people can bike or walk easily to your business, they can come in the crowds. And you can, but where we are in Sanpete and the limited availability of parking only accommodates a few. So that's been a really successful initiative as well.
What a great idea. And yeah, some people would call that, bribery. I call it reward, And who's to say, like, free ice cream? Everyone will love free ice cream. That's great.
I call it incentives. Yeah.
There you go. Incentives. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the word. And no, and what a cool idea though. I think, like you said, it supports the whole community. And what I love that you've done on your Cycle Sanpete page is that you've gathered like so many people's statements of like what this bike path would do for the community, right? And you've had like all the mayors, the president of, Snow College down there. Just so how has that been received? Like as you've reached out to them, like what's been the process behind that?
Yeah. I will start with an email or a phone call and talk to them about the project, and I'll ask if they'd be willing to write a letter of support to help spread awareness and gain more support. And I have only to talk to be two people out of hundreds that are like, I'm not interested. I don't care if this gets put in or not, but I'm not going to stop it. Like, I feel like this is an important enough project. And I want other people to be able to benefit from a bike path. So, yeah, we're just struck by the support. We've been sharing little snippets on social media from these letters of support on our Facebook page, Cycle Sanpete, and they've had hundreds of shares. So I think that is very evident that people are excited about bike paths, and they do want them, and they do believe like if we can keep our community human-centric, we can keep our small town charm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean the governor lives in Fairview, right?
Yeah, he's from Sanpete. Yeah, and I have to say this. So he actually shared one of our posts the other day.
I
And
saw that. Yeah.
I was over the moon, but we got a letter of support from a local police officer, and that one went wild. People shared that like crazy, and including the governor of Utah. So we're really excited.
Yes. No, I think yeah, I think um I've talked about this with other people too. I've talked with a member of Bike Walk Provo, Aaron Scablin. He was on the podcast, and that was one of the main things that he talked about is just the connections, the people that you meet, and having them advocate for you as well, and being on the same team. That's just such a huge part of it. And so, yeah, I think it's brilliant what you're doing, just as far as getting those letters of support and then putting it out there and showing people that like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, we definitely want this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to this conversation, I do think that is a big part of biking is strengthens the community. Like you make friendships, you make deep friendships. Like if you can go on a bike ride with somebody, or if you unite towards a common cause, um, it, it, through biking, like it's amazing what can happen. Like through this process, I've made so many friends, and um, yeah, I think the one thing I would say is when it comes to mental health and biking is the friendships that you can make through it.
Yes, no, absolutely the connections. Yeah, so I mean, you've touched on that a little bit already, but what biking has done for your mental health. Yeah, how else has it helped you or your family just as you've ridden your bike?
Yeah, I think that so actually, I'll tell you this story. So when my husband, he bought the pedal assist e-bike for me before the birth of our daughter. He let his mother ride the bike, and she's never been on an e-bike before, so she gets on and she just flies down the road, and she's laughing so hard with joy, like she's crying. She's like, I haven't had this much fun in decades. She fell in love with it. And I have that video, just her on the e-bike for the first time, and it her friends try riding her the e it ended up buying an e-bike after that, and then she let her friends ride her e-bike, and her friend bought an e-bike, and then her cousin tried the e-bike, and then her cousin bought an e-bike, and then it's just been going on, and it's had a ripple effect ever since then. But I think just going out on bike rides with my husband and my daughter and his mom, like that brings the family together, and time seems to slow down in a way. Like when you're in a routine and just doing the same thing day in and out, like it becomes one big blurry memory. But when you can take 30 minutes out and do something different, um, you create new memories, very vivid memories, and you see things you wouldn't normally see, and you hear things you wouldn't normally hear. Um, yeah, I think it creates very strong, vivid memories with your family. So, take a day off from movie night and go out on a bike ride with your family. It's a really special experience.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And when we involve all of our senses, right, to really ground us and to bring us in the present moment, that's really
Mhm.
when those strong memories, like you say, are created, and then those memories, increase our mental health, and
Mhm.
we want more of those, and we want more of those experiences. So yes, I 100% agree with you. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost addicting. Riding your bike very quickly becomes addicting, and which is the best kind of addiction to have.
For sure. No, absolutely. Yes, definitely. Um, One quick side note that
Yeah,
you were talking about Deer Creek. So
yeah.
we live right at the mouth of Provo Canyon in Orem, and they have the Provo River Trail, right, that goes up. Um, you can ride your bike along the river trail right there, but it stops at Vivian Park. But they're actually in the process right now of create or converting that old railroad line that no one uses into a bike path that it will go all the way to Deer Creek. And so it's supposed to be done
Really?
the end of this year. In fact, me and one of my friends, we rode the whole path because it's just dirt right now, and it's going to be so fun. So it extends that river trail. It's going to be a total from the bottom of the canyon all the way up to the top of Deer Creek, the dam up there. It'll be about 11 or 12 miles of just bike path. So
Wow.
yeah, we're
That is
really excited about that.
amazing. Yeah, that is incredible. That is very exciting. And I think Bike Walk Provo, they do some really good work. They do a lot of advocacy, and ideas spread. They spread very quickly. And it's hard for people not to join in the cycle advocacy movement because it's just so obvious all the benefits it brings. And yeah, so that's amazing. That's exciting.
Yes, no, absolutely. And yeah, we're big fans of Bike Walk Provo. It's inspired a lot of what we do where we live in Orem, and we've partnered with them a lot. And so, yeah, it's just super exciting. And that was what I was going to ask you as well. Like if someone's, whether they live in a big town or small town, rural Utah, what advice, what tips would you give to somebody wanting to, get more involved with the advocacy work or, creating safer streets for people? What tips or advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think a tip is start by reading Happy City. In other books like Strong Towns or Walkable City, get on YouTube, watch Bike Quest with Mike West. Not just bikes, all of those are really great. Just become educated, and then you'll be so much more passionate about advocacy and bike paths and urban design and things like that. And I think volunteering at local nonprofits, that's always great, if whether hosting a community ride or an educational workshop or a bike film fest, whatever it is, just connect and reach out to people. And One thing I think that's really important is, our city leaders, they're just like you and me. Most of them don't have a background in urban planning or urban design, especially like quality urban design and city planning. So I think helping them just be aware of the importance of these type of things is really important. Maybe give your mayor Happy City, or do a presentation. Just start reaching out and connecting with people.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think, like you said, it starts with a lot of that knowledge, right? And it can be kind of intimidating process. 'Cause you're like, I'm not an urban designer, I'm not an urban planner, but so many of these bikes, so many of these books, and so many of these videos that people have made, they simplify it in a way that's just so easy to grasp, and you just see the benefit, right? It's just kind of like a no-brainer for a lot of it. And so
Yeah.
I think just connecting that knowledge, in a helpful and diplomatic and nice way with our leaders, and creating those relationships, that's a
Hmm.
big piece of it
Yeah.
too.
Exactly. Yeah, having good relationships is important, being solutions oriented. And I think you don't have to dive very far into learning to be able to spot good city design from really poor city design.
Yep.
It'll become acutely obvious, just after, YouTube video or one good book. And that's all you need. And then that helps like city officials when they're working with developers to say, hey, this is a road. Let's make sure there's walking paths or biking paths, or this is a quiet urban or quiet residential street. Let's make sure there's traffic calming elements here. And we're planning this massive development project. Let's make sure we've got little um, pleasant places like parks and little boat, corner cafes or grocery stores, so people don't have to drive 20 minutes to get to a destination. Like having micro communities, like you don't have to be an expert to be able to spot ways to make your city more pleasant.
Yeah, and a lot of times, that those are the best parts of any city, right? Or those walkable parts, or those like
Yeah.
where you're out. And I've the farmers markets that always pop up around here. It's so funny because those are the best, like most well attended things, and it's like we could have this every day, right? Like we
Yeah.
if we established a good walkable area. But that's just something to kind of think about, is that those are the best things that we have in our city, those parks or those markets. Because you're able to connect and talk with people, because you're out walking around and you're safe, you're in a safe environment. So be able to
Yeah,
establish that all
exactly.
the time would be just amazing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever seen Gilmore Girls?
that is my wife's favorite show. She's probably
Is
seen it a million times. I'm not even joking. Yeah, she's watching all the time.
it? I love that show as well. It's cozy, but I realized the reason I love it so much is like their city design. Like from their house, they can just walk to go get something to eat and then go get something to the store and then a park and community space. Like their city center is a park and you can it's so people friendly and it's cozy and feel good. It's like if every city in America was like this, there would be no crime. We'd
Yeah.
all be happy and
No, you make a very good point there. And yeah, Luke's Diner, right? They always meet up
yeah.
there, and they're always at the town hall or the town
Mhm.
square walking around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
And
point.
you only see like cars every once in a while and there's music. It's just very lively. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's just the ultimate Hallmark movie, right? Everyone's just walking
Yes.
around all the time. Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. I love that.
Yeah. Hallmark towns. That's what we need.
Yes, awesome. Well, Jill, this has been great. This is awesome conversation. Thanks for your story. Thanks for your advice and all the things you do. If if anybody wants to follow you and the work that you do, where can they find you at?
Yeah, we are on Instagram, Cycle Sanpete, under Facebook, also Cycle Sanpete. Website is cyclesanpete.com. And we're super friendly. You can email me or message me on social media. We'd love to connect and yeah.
Awesome. And does the ice cream offer, is that available for non-locals as well? Like if we ride our bike to this ice cream shop, can we get some free ice cream down there?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Heck
All right, I'm there. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you want to come to Sanpete and go for a bike ride and get ice cream, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, we will definitely plan it. And especially, yeah, once you get that bike path up and going, we will be there for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to have a big ribbon cutting for our trail.
Love it. I love it. Okay. Well, thanks
Well,
again, Jill. We'll keep in touch as things continue to progress down there.
yeah, thank you so much, Zach. I really appreciate you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.